So in this video, I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about this pen. It's called the Troika, that's Troika tool pen. I've looked at a tool pen in the past. I'll be looking at a few more in the near future. And this is one of the most popular ones out there, so I wanted to spend some time talking about it. So it's pretty easy to find. You can get it on Amazon and a few other places. It sells for about $25 or $30. So it's on the more expensive side, I would say. But it has some common features with the other ones, and it has a few pretty key differences. So I would say it is one of the more notable ones sold today. So let's just jump right into it. What is the deal with the Troika tool pen? First of all, I would say that it is notable because it is made of lacquered brass. So it has a hexagonal brass design. It's very reminiscent of like a Rotring 600 and that sort of series. That means the pen is nice and heavy, and again, it is hexagonal and lacquered brass, just like a Rotring 600. So around the width or the diameter, whatever you want to call it, of a Rotring 600 roller ball. It's bigger than the ballpoint. You could see the painted numbers on here, or they look painted. This probably is that brass coming through. So I don't know if they were the paint was lasered off, or if it was etched off, or maybe those areas were just not painted, or maybe it's just gold paint on black paint. It's really hard to say, but as the pen wears in, and I've only had it for a few weeks now, as it wears in, we'll see what happens with the markings on the ruler, and we'll get to see whether it's just these are painted on top of the black paint, or this is actually the brass coming through that black paint. Again, only time will tell. But yeah, lacquered brass, so it has a nice heavy feel to it. That does mean when you drop it, it probably will get dinged up more. I think mine has one or two minor dings on it. I forget exactly where they are, but there's a couple little scuffs on it, but on the whole it's held up really well so far. But I haven't dropped it on pavement or anything like that. Big takeaway here is that it is nice and heavy, maybe 25 or so grams, maybe a little bit more. I haven't weighed it. And then it feels really nice in your hand. It's comfortable for the hold. If you like hexagonal pens, the edges are slightly rounded, which is nice. And there's some pretty cool little craftsmanship type marks here, like here where it's hexagonal, but it goes into being round right here. You can see that little chamfer or whatever you would call that. So nicely done there. As far as the tool features go, let's start off by looking at the box. It's the Troika. It is a construction or tool pen. I haven't looked at that QR code, but that might be appealing to you. And then on the back we see, so what's going on with this what's going on with this tool pen. We have a 20 or 1 to 20, 1 to 50 scale, a spirit level, your 2 screwdrivers, so slotted and Phillips, and a stylus. It's made of lacquered brass and has a black ballpoint pen refill. And then here is those features again with some visual indicators. And then there's the pen. It's sold in a bunch of different colors. I bought it in the black and gold. I think it looked really nice. So comfort wise, very comfortable to hold. I like this pen as a pen. It's my favorite of the tool pens as a pen. I'll just spoil that before I do any future comparisons of tool pens. The pen itself is right here. You turn this knurled piece here and it extends. It's actually a very nice action. It's slow and controlled, and then when you get to the end, you turn it a bit here, from here to here, and it locks in place. If you just go to right here, then it could get pushed in more. Which it's not locked, it could get pushed in. If it's right there, it's locked. So very nice action. It has that slow, smooth feel, as if this thing was filled with grease or whatever, which might sound gross, but again, it has that nice feel of a very high-end knob on a head unit or a radio, whatever. So that's very cool. Inside here is a black ballpoint refill. We'll take a look at the refill in a second, because I want to get into the tool features. So what's going on with this? It's a tool pen. What are the tools? Most obviously is we have the rulers, and they're here. 1, 2, 3, 4 rulers. They are in opposing directions, which is a very strange decision for me, but the ones that are going from the top to the, I guess from the top to the writing end are scaled rulers. So now this is 1/20th of a meter. And basically, I think you would use this if you're looking at architectural plans or architectural drawings or blueprints or something like that, where you're looking at scale. Here is 1/50th of a meter. So again, useful for scaled drawings. If we go here, you see it's opposite directions. And now from the writing tip to the end, to where the stylus is, we see inches, so just your standard inches. And you're in 16ths there, it looks like. And now we have your centimeter scale. So it's 1/100th of a meter. Like that's a centimeter. Centimeter is 1/100th of a meter. So probably didn't need to say that, but there you go. And that's the rulers. Again, the ruler, I haven't had any of these markings start to fail on me. My guess is that's just the brass showing through. The lacquer or the paint is just not in those areas. So I don't think these little markings will fail, but we'll see over time. Next up, we have the tools under the top cap right here, and it screws right off, and you see we have a Phillips head screwdriver. It's a pretty small one. It's like a PH1, something you use for like, I don't know, like kind of household type things or opening up a battery compartment. Not really something you do for construction. You can see it's very, very small and a long taper here. So you're not getting, not really like torquing any serious Phillips head screws with that. It has a little kind of press, spring loaded bearing right there. I think it's spring loaded. Anyway, that piece holds it in place. So you're not relying on simply a magnet. And here we have a tiny little Phillips head, tiny little standard screwdriver or slotted, whatever you want to call it. And it just says PIP 20 on it. I guess if you had to replace it, you're looking for the part PIP 20. I'm not really sure. But for me, it looks like a PH1, which would be a small Phillips head on that side. And then I don't know what they call the slotted side. This piece, it is a little metal piece for the stylus tip. So if you're using an iPad or a phone and you want to be able to use your phone when you have gloves on, you have the stylus, which is nice. This screws on and off, and so you lose it, you could screw it on to, so on this one you can't screw it on the front. On a lot of the other ones, like this is the Monteverdi tool pen, which I would say is the most popular one. You can screw the caps on, and the parts are actually interchangeable. These pens are all very similar, all the tool pens. I don't know if they're made by the same company or what, but this one is lacking that feature. The Troika is lacking that feature, whereas the other ones have it. Okay, so now the other tool we have is a spirit level or a bubble level, whatever you want to call it. That's right here. It's not open in the back, right? So the light is quite limited. You really want to get it up towards the top, and it's hard once you're getting the glare, but there is definitely a bubble in here. And it works. Again, it's quite small, and it's not centered on the pen, which is like sort of annoying. There's no hole in the back, so you can only use this from one side, and you're missing some back lighting, but it does work. There's definitely a level in the pen. And I think that will cover the list. Phillips head, slotted screwdrivers, ballpoint pen, capacitive stylus, spirit level, the ruler. The stylus, I can't really test out. I'm using my phone right now, but it does work. It is definitely a stylus, and it's kind of a soft little rubbery stylus. I don't know, I actually don't like having them on pens. I find them to be a little annoying, and they always kind of break or crack over time. They start looking messy. But yep, there's definitely a stylus tip on this. Okay, the refill in here is pressed in. It's like you might want to unscrew this thing or whatever, but this is actually the refill unit here, just this little piece of metal, and this piece, it doesn't turn on its own. You know, this piece turns up here. And so it's a pretty standard part. You'd see in a lot of older pens and a lot of like kind of like novelty type pens, I guess, where they want to use, let's see if we can get this out. Basically, it's a D1 refill in here with a little black plastic cap. It looks like we need to get, you can use a screwdriver in there. I will hilariously use the Monteverdi tool pen screwdriver here. I'll be doing a video on the Monteverdi in a couple weeks or a couple days, depending on how schedules look. And there's that refill. So this is actually a D1 refill, which is a standard refill, and it just has this plastic piece. You don't want to lose this piece. The pen will not work if you lose this, but this is a standard component. And so if you run it, this refill runs out, or you want to go to a red refill, or you want to use a a different color, or you want to move to gel, you could certainly do that. You just have to save this cap, and the D1s are standard, so they're quite uniform from one to the next. Push this cap on here, push this piece in here, you screw it down, and this piece goes in here and presses in. You don't want to go in and out too much. You don't want to wear out that internal pieces, so it doesn't fit nicely in there, which it is kind of it's pressed in, but now it's good to go. Got my black refill. As far as the pen goes, I would say this is actually my favorite of the tool pens as far as how it writes. It has the best action as far as opening and closing it goes. And they actually went with a fairly nice black refill. So that was quite cool. So this is the Troika. And it is a black ballpoint. Ballpoint is nice because it'll write on anything. It'll write on wood, it'll write on leather, it'll write like almost on like a concrete. So no matter what you're doing, ballpoint is a very good option. It's not quite as versatile as a pencil, but it's the next best thing. In some ways, it's actually better. So one interesting note on the name, I can't quite figure out what's going on with that. Troika would traditionally be like a triumvirate, like 3 leaders would form a troika. I'm sure it means other things, but the most common use of this, I believe a Russian word, would be triumvirate. So if this thing had 3 tools, troika would be a clever name. I'm not really sure why they went with that. Maybe it's just the name of the company. Maybe there's some other use for it. I don't know. It looks like it's a German pen, Troika.de. So it's not a Russian company. It's made in Taiwan, but by this German company. So maybe Troika means something different in German versus Russian. But I heard Troika, I'm like, oh, something with like, I'm familiar with this from the history of the Soviet Union or something like that. But there you go, Troika pen, maybe unrelated. The pen overall sells about $29. It's easy to find on Amazon and other places. And one of the nicest, if not the nicest of the tool pens, has that nice brass body, heavy weight to it, good feeling, nice quality overall. I think it is the best looking of the tool pens, especially in the black. You see it in yellow and a few other colors, which for me, I don't like so much, but I can definitely understand why you'd want a tool to be a brighter color. It's nice to be able to like just scan a messy desk or a toolbox or something and see, oh, bright yellow, that is my pen. That's what I need right now. So it is definitely missing that. Like I said, all of the tool pens, which we'll get into in a couple weeks, are very similar. Like here is that Monteverdi tip screwing into a Troika. I don't know. Again, I don't know if they're all made in the same place or what, but they are oddly similar to one another. So if you don't feel like trying to afford the Troika, then I understand that. And then I wanted to close it out with some notes on the clip. The clip is very short, I'll say. A lot of clips, especially ones that are meant to go over a thick leather belt or a pair of jeans, they are taller to accommodate more depth here, or more width, whatever you want to call it, without the clip having to stretch so much. So if you look at something like this, the clip is taller here, and it goes down to an angle so that if you had to put it around a thick utility belt or something like that, you're not really stressing that clip so much, and you're not gonna kind of spring it out and get it stuck or broken. This one is very low profile, which is great if you want to put it into a pocket or throw it in a bag because the clip won't snag on things. But if you want to put this one on something thick, you have to start to worry about putting, you know, kind of bending this back piece right here. So the clip is going to be an issue for some people. I like that it's low profile. Some other people would say, hey, it's not a thick enough clip, and I bent it because it wasn't tall enough. So if you're putting it on a shirt or something thin, a notebook or folder, it's great. And it's a very good clip for that. I like how low profile it is. But if you're actually using it for work, the clip is going to be a problem. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. That is the Troika tool pen. Thanks for watching.